ahead and turn it down here. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks so much for coming to celebrate the life of our beloved friend, partner, son, and soul brother, Erik Maxim. Thank you to each of you who came together in friendship and loving support for Erik's partner, Keely, for Erik's mom, Camille, and for our dear brother, Ian, and for all the friends. And thank you that made this possible, this beautiful celebration. All the hard work, it looks beautiful. Erik was a force of nature with a kind, gentle heart, a wild-eyed, creative artist with a massive passion for adventure. A world traveler, a builder, a lover, an athlete, and a cultivator of cool experiences, and a friend to so many. A smile that was brighter than the sun, with soft, compassionate presence that was a gift for all of us. Erik's eye-watering good looks would make even the straightest man's heart flutter. I called him the golden boy. Not only because of his blonde hair, good looks, and chiseled body, but because of that golden twinkle in his eyes. That smirky, mischievous, young boy-like wonderment of the world around him, and his stoke for life. A recent memory that we have, there was a group of us that got together for Halloween. We all got together as a big group of us, and Erik dressed like a kitty cat. You haven't seen pictures from last year, you should. It's pretty funny. Now, most people that go out for Halloween are going to be all pretty and look good and not really be in costume, but Erik was. He took it. He was purring and nuzzling around our feet, wrapped around our legs, bouncing around and rolling around on the ground like a kitty playing with a yarn. Licking his paws. Going up to strangers and people that don't live here for a long time, kind of freaking them out a little bit. Locals were like, yeah, man. We were on the floor laughing hysterically. That's who Erik was. A comedian, a risk taker, a stretcher of boundaries of the uncomfortable. His smile and charm were infectious. His creativity and harder than nails work ethic will live forever in our hearts. In our hearts, and the art pieces and the builds in the community they love so much. You're going to be missed, my friend. We're going to have some words from Keely, Camille, and Ian. Does anyone else want to say some words as well? If you do, please raise your hand. Cool. All right. Great. Keely?
Thanks, Todd. Okay, hi. I'm very nervous, so I'm sorry if I take a while to get through this, and it's also kind of long. On a Wednesday morning, Erik woke me up early to give me a kiss goodbye before heading out into the mountains with his friends. He always did that before leaving, which now I am forever grateful for. I was groggy and barely opened my eyes, taking for granted our last kiss. Erik is the love of my life. I know I was his. We are best friends. We talked about things that we couldn't share with anyone else in the world. I felt so special when Erik would come home and vent to me about this or that. I was his confidant and supporter, and I loved every second of it, and he was mine. The best I could have asked for. Erik always made me coffee in the morning. I don't even know how to use his coffee maker. We had dinner together almost every night. He hung out with me in the kitchen and kept me company even if he was busy. When we sat down to eat, he always thanked me, gave me a kiss, told me how grateful he was, and then proceeded to tell me how delicious dinner was, even if it was terrible or too spicy to eat. He made me feel so special and loved. We built a beautiful home together, mainly thanks to Erik and his ability to fix or create just about anything and everything. He painted our home, filled it with artwork, added lighting, created a beautiful backyard, and was up to just about any and every task we could think of. He loved to project. I loved helping him. He was a great boss, kind, but he made you work hard. I mean, really hard. He would be getting after it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and we would both be covered head to toe in dirt at the end of the day. He was the hardest worker. I learned so much from him. He took me into the forest and let me help him cut down some trees for firewood, with him cheering me on and telling me how great I was doing filling the trailer with logs while he did the hard stuff. He had us at the garden store almost every weekend during the summer, getting a new plant, tree, or something else to grow. He had the most magical green thumb. He taught me that doing it yourself is much more meaningful. I just loved making him proud. He would bump the loudest bass music in the garage, working away, and then he would pop his head in every 10 minutes, asking for help or to ask me to check out what he was up to. I think he just wanted me to feel included. Erik could fix literally anything. He worked on his cars, my car, his snowmobile, anything that needed tuning up or fixing, he would do it on his own, using his handy YouTube subscription. I remember we were driving to fish at the gorge 2 years ago, and that bus broke down as soon as we got into Madras. Erik was calm as a cucumber, and we rolled right into an AutoZone. He went in, got the items required to fix the problem, and we were back on the road in 45 minutes. I just looked at him with hearts in my eyes, per usual. I mean, who can do that? Erik could, and I was so impressed by him constantly. We got a fur baby together named Nacho. Erik was the best dog dad in the world, and Nacho has a huge hole in his heart now. Erik took him hiking up Tamalo, and they raced down, Erik on snowboard and Nacho by foot. He taught him to swim, taught him to obey, and made sure he always knew he was deeply loved. Erik also took Nacho on every errand. I think Lowe's is one of Nacho's favorite places. I will do my best to keep him adventuring to fill his dad's big shoes. I did take him to Lowe's about a week ago, and he got lots of treats. Erik also gave our other little dog, Beans, who I got prior to us meeting, the best life he has ever known, by always including him on fun adventures and teaching him to paddleboard and roll around in the mud and do all the fun things dogs love to do. Erik was the world's greatest pack leader. We traveled a lot, and we did so perfectly together. El Salvador, Portugal, Burning Man, many other places, and we had plenty on our list for the future. He was the best travel partner anyone could ask for. I told him before we left for our first trip that I was chill about mostly everything, but I needed breakfast when I woke up or I got hangry. So every morning he would wake up, get organized, and get us to a cafe to eat breakfast burritos before starting our day. Then we would usually head down to the beach, and I would read my book and watch him surf and take videos and pictures and think to myself how sexy and cool my boyfriend is and how lucky I am to be with such an adventurous and loving man. He really got me to see the world differently, take risks, be more adventurous, and enjoy life more. Thank you, Erik. He was my best adventure buddy. We hiked a lot, and he was so fast and sure-footed. I'm slower. He would always wait for me to catch up and was patient with me when I took longer to cross any obstacle. He also knew I'm afraid of heights, and in moments when he thought I may be a little nervous, he would always position himself so I knew he would catch me if anything happened. He thought I was a pain in the ass to teach snowboarding, because I was. But he did it anyways, and he always went up with me when he had an opportunity, because he knew I was nervous and that I didn't want to go with anyone besides him. He would also snowshoe while I tried my hand at cross-country skiing so we could take Nacho out into the snow together. We had so many laughs during those outings, me falling down constantly, him running down the hill in his snowshoes, Nacho schooling us both. Erik also thought I was a terrible driver, so when winter came rolling around, he took it upon himself and bought me studded snow tires and taught me how to put them on my car so I would be safe. I was so loved and so taken care of in so many ways. He was so good at everything. It was ridiculous. We went ice skating once, and he immediately just started gracefully floating around the ice. He held my hand and pulled me around because I was terrible. He's holding my hand still. When he walked by me in our home, he would usually grab my butt or do something else cheeky, just so I had small reminders that he loved me. He made everything fun. I just loved running errands with him. We did that a lot. We hopped in his truck and just ran around town together, checking things off the list, laughing and goofing around the whole time. It was something small that I treasured. And he knew I got nervous about him going out into the mountains, so he would always call me when he got back to the parking lot every time. When I answered, he would refer to me as darling or his favorite girlfriend, and we would laugh, just so I knew he was coming home. I loved those phone calls because I always knew how he would be so happy and stoked on life after a big day. He just loved me, even if I was being a butthead. And I loved him, even if he was being one, and he was sometimes. He was always there for me. If I ever needed to cry, he held me and let me get snot all over his sweatshirts. We laughed a lot. At Burning Man one evening, we just decided to stay in the bus for a while and have a dance party, just us two, doing weird moves and cracking each other up. He was actually a really good dancer, though. We were so silly and weird. He's the only person I have ever been able to be fully myself with and feel wholly loved and accepted. I have no idea how I'm going to live without him. He gave me a life filled with joy, love, and adventure. He taught me how to be a better human. He taught me how to be better to the planet. He taught me how to truly love. He was the one who helped me make friends, taught me how to trust people, and told me to take a deep breath when I was getting nervous or anxious. He was so strong. He reminded me what was important and how to enjoy each moment. I miss him so much. Erik lived so many amazing experiences. He said to me the other day how happy he was that he was going out into the mountains so much this winter. It genuinely made him happy. I know he didn't want to leave me, this beautiful life, his mama Camille, and this community. It's not fair. We had the most beautiful future ahead of us, a beautiful family. But now he's with me in a different way and will be forever. I feel so lucky. I got to have a soulmate in this world. All I could do was honor him every single day by trying to live more like he did and carry him in my heart while I do it. He gave me the greatest gift of knowing him, loving him, and feeling his great big love right back. Being held by him is better than anything I could have ever imagined, and I'm so grateful that I know he will be with me forever. I love you, Erik.
Would you have said that?
I know I leave Keely in good hands in this community. You guys all love her so much, and I'm so grateful. You all are amazing, and you've made me saying goodbye to Erik a little easier. April said, Camille, do you want to say a few words tomorrow? And I was like, hell no. How do I say the light of my life is gone and out? And then Erik talked to me this morning, and he said, Mom, yes. You gotta say something, yes. And so there's a little something. So this morning in the gentle quiet, I sat down to write down what Erik taught me. Erik taught me to incorporate yes into my vocabulary more. So yes, I wanted to say something today. Yes to being playful and silly. Yes to adventures, and yes to taking a risk. We took many adventures together, some local and some to other countries. Erik taught me to be more patient. And I know if any of you are parents, someone said, was Erik easy? I was like, no. But he taught me about being patient. When I slowed down and took time to listen to him, it was so much easier to be the kind of mom I wanted to be. And that was like, when you have a child, you got to make that commitment to just love them and listen to them. And I feel really good because I think I did that with Erik. If a mom can have a best friend, he was my best friend. When Erik was in his 20s, we went hiking we went to Peru and we went to hike to Machu Picchu. And on one of the days you climb up this peak that's called, I thought this was kind of Dead Woman Pass. So I did raise my son to be athletic and proud and competitive. So, of course, everybody else on the trek hired porters. Erik and I didn't. So I'm carrying my pack. I'm the oldest one of the group. They were all like 18 to 24 maybe. And I was probably about 58 or so. And I'm hiking up that hard part and everybody is way ahead of me. And here comes my beautiful, courageous, athletic, handsome, delicious son running down the trail to me, and he goes, Mom, let me carry your pack. I was like, no, I got it. Well, I took 2 more steps and I said, Erik, I'd love you to carry it. He carried it into the camp, and everybody was like, wow, Erik, you did that for your mom? I would never do that for my mom. And it was like, I really got that I had that I had set this young man on his path, and he took it and he became an incredible human being. And I got to appreciate his gifts. I was proud. I felt loved, and it affirmed for me that my job of guiding him had gone well. I always encouraged Erik to follow his passion. Harry. Yeah, okay? I always encouraged him to follow his passion, a phrase that when he was younger just caused him frustration. What did that mean, Mom? What do you mean, follow your passion? Couldn't I give him more direction? Ultimately, Erik found his own compass. He found his passion to love life, to reach for the stars, and to love. I will miss his smile. I will miss his hugs. I will miss the joy I felt just being in his presence. I will miss seeing him smile at Keely and hearing their shared laughter, knowing that he'd finally made his soulmate connection. I will miss being Erik's mom, and what I always said to him when he was off to go on some adventure: have fun and be safe. So, thank you.
Hey guys. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone who put this day together. I want to thank Keely's parents who have been here since the very first day. They drove from SoCal straight to be here, and you guys have been here. And it's been great getting to know you guys. And everyone else, there'll be many thanks in this speech, so if I leave you out now, don't worry. Usually I do this off the cuff, but this one, I had to write down because my brain's a little frazzled right now. So, anyways, Erik was like a brother to me. And when I say brother, I don't mean it like an actual brother, but I mean it like the way black people use it, which is more meaningful, I think. Zoolander? Anybody? Zoolander? Erik and I met naked in a wood-fired hot tub late night 6 years ago. He had mentioned that he was an up-and-coming builder, and if I ever needed help, to look him up. So I did. And quickly realized that he must have been really high that night when mentioning that he knew anything about building houses. But I kept him anyway. I loved his energy, and damn, he was a hard worker. He listened and never took it personal if I nicely criticized him. He got good real quick. He was also the first person to call me old. If I got tired during the day, he'd say, "Come on, old man." But yet, if he was tired, he would just say, "Well, you just have that old man strength." I also learned of all his life stories, his big adventures and experiences, which impressed me, being that he was just in his mid-20s. During this time, he figured out that I was a big winter sports enthusiast. At the same time, he really wasn't yet. He'd have to listen to me tell him stories about adventures on mountaintops and far-off places, but mostly about epic runs in my favorite spot, Planet Peak. Ends up that he was really interested in exploring these things also. And just as he dove headfirst into building, he went full throttle into winter recreation too. He bought a snowmobile, got his split board set up and dialed, and started getting out there. We started to go on adventures together, but mostly just easy stuff that was more about the hang and exercise than it was about the riding. I watched him progress, but knew he had a long way to go to be a solid snowboarder. As the years progressed and winters came and went, it became harder and harder to exclude him from the big technical stuff. When a big storm would come in and we were working, I would almost describe him like a puppy looking for a walk. He'd be looking at me with anticipation, hoping for an invite. But I'd have to tell him that I was going out there and he wasn't invited because he wasn't ready. Instead, I would offer him my Mount Bachelor pass to go get more reps on his board. He was never mad and always understood. I think he took my rejection as motivation. He continued to go out on his own or with other people and put the time in. And just like his building skills, he eventually advanced into a solid rider. He let me know about it by sending me videos and pictures, which I was always stoked to see. Fast forward, a week before the accident, I finally invited him out there for what was going to be one of the best days of the year. And to no surprise, he rode and handled himself great. It brought me great joy to finally have him around and share a spot with him that was so dear to my heart. And I know he felt that all his hard work over the years felt validated. Fast forward a week, and he was the first person I called. That morning started out great. And on our second run, we ended up riding a chute called Half Pipe. One of the steepest technical chutes out there. 45 to 50 degrees with walls on each side to bounce and shred. I went first and had a perfect view of Erik going second. I felt like a proud papa watching him perfectly execute every turn. Smoothly, without any hesitation. When he came out of that chute, I started hearing the classic Erik hoot. You! You! Only there were many, which isn't really his style. Many. He rode up to me and joyfully exclaimed, "That was the best run of my life!" I won't go into such detail about the last run. But contrary to the run before, it wasn't nearly as technical or presumed dangerous. All I can say is he was the third rider to go and might have went a little further left than we did, but he didn't do anything wrong. Just took an unlucky hillside turn on a spot that, unaware to me, was ready to go. We got to him within minutes, and if anybody wasn't sure, he was gone when we got to him. He didn't suffer. Didn't suffer. Just sadly gone. We did everything we could in that moment. Everything. While my partner, Erik, left to go establish a clear connection for help, I got to be with him. I held him. I told him I loved him. And I told him that I was sorry. I told him I was sorry. I felt overwhelming sadness about his mom, about Keely, and everyone else who was going to be devastated. But as Erik returned, we had to put on our big boy pants and do all we could to get him and all his belongings off that mountain. And I am proud that Erik and I did that. Erik would be proud too that we took care of him. We did. Usually after a day in the mountains, the best part of the day is when I take my ski boots off. Partly because ski boots aren't all that comfortable, but mostly because it means that everyone back is back safe. Well, right now my boots are still on my feet and they're fucking killing me. I want to thank my friend Erik, who was with me that day, for keeping it together. I want to thank the medical staff and search and rescue for doing all they could when they met us on the descent. I want to thank Camille for being so supportive of me the second I walked through the door that night. You are a true inspiration to every woman and mother here. I want to thank every one of my friends who gave me such support through this. And of course, I want to thank my family, especially my wife, April. I'm so sorry for putting you through this. I know how much you are suffering as well. I know Erik was like our adopted son. You've been so strong, and I love you. And Keely, you know we all love you so much. Erik loved you so much. And although he is gone, we are all still here. All of us, we're still here. I promise we will all get through this together. You should never feel alone. We got you, girl. As time moves on, I know I will always think about Erik, about what an amazing life he lived in his short time here, doing so many things and impacting so many people. But that time isn't for me now. But it will be. I promise you, buddy. We had a good run, man. We had a good run, dude. Fuck. I feel when your soul left this earth, you took some of mine with you. So wherever you are right now, you're stuck with me, motherfucker. One thing I have learned from this experience is compassion. Compassion for other people who have dealt with this in the past or who are struggling now. I've learned to always tell the ones you care about that you love them. I saw the fragility of life right before my eyes. You just never know. So tell the ones you care about, you love them. I love you, Erik. I miss you already, man. One day I know we'll all hang out in our Speedos. Once again, thanks.
My name's Erik, and I'm the aforementioned straight man who crushed on Erik. Erik was adjacently my friend. We met each other many times around town, but the day he died was only our second adventure in the mountains together. And it's nice to hear the stories of the people who he touched during his life. And my experience with Erik is that he touched me profoundly in his death. The first day we went to the mountains, Ian said he bought a snowmobile. He actually bought two. And he picked me up and he whisked me away into the mountains to take me to Broken Top so that I could do this ridiculous ski base jump that I had been planning. And it was kind of like a 50 Shades of Grey type thing, you know, the real competent rich guy who whisks you away, and it was good. It was real good. He was handsome. And It was a beautiful day, and I jumped off that stupid cliff, and and I lived. And it's interesting the relationship we have with the other people we adventure in the mountains with. There's an implicit agreement that we have that when we go out, through death or dismemberment, we come back together. Erik's death is likely the most profound experience of my life. And ultimately, it is a strange and painful gift. It's a gift that the utility of which is still trickling into my life in various ways. The first of which was that I was just so grateful to be alive. And the fact that Erik is dead and that I'm unscathed is mostly a matter of luck. And so I feel indebted to life in general, that I am privileged to exist. Erik and I's relationship was a near miss. I feel lucky to have known him. And it has made me consider all the risks that I take in my life. Skiing and base jumping and doing all the ridiculous and amazing shit that we do. When the head of the SAR medical team pronounced Erik dead, he looked at me with tears in his eyes and he said that at least he died doing what he loved. And I was very angry that he said that, and I told him and the whole team that that was just a platitude. But Erik took me to Broken Top to do the base jump on a Tuesday, and he died on a Wednesday. And he had real nice toys and lots of time, and it became quite clear that Erik was, in fact, spending a lot of time doing whatever the hell he wanted to. Which included being on Paulina Peak with Ian and I. And he had spent a lot of time doing whatever he wanted to so that he could ride at a level commensurate with that task. And so there is something different. I don't know what meaning to put on it, but there is something different about a death that represents the tip of the recreational spear as opposed to the rest of the 100 billion dead humans that we're all standing on top of. But it is nice to know that he kind of pushed the edge in a certain direction, and for that I'm really grateful, and I'm almost re-inspired because the accident shook me in a really deep way in regards to how I live my life. And so it's a gift that I was able to reflect on my risk and my life and what it's worth and what I do, and it's also a gift to kind of come back and see, no, it is actually worth it to be in the mountains. It is worth it to take a risk. I cannot live unless I'm taking a risk. It's a risk to be myself. It's a risk to go, and I get to choose to do it with people who will bring me back. I think I could talk for a long time about the things that I've learned in the last month since Erik died. But one gift that I have that I would hope to share with you is that by seeing him die and by touching him, by touching his body, by caring for his body after his death, by witnessing the grief of his loved ones, by feeling immediately the overwhelming love and care that people had for him, feeling that my life had changed and that all of our lives had changed in that moment because of the relationship we had with him. And that life is still going on, and that I'm still here. I feel in a deep sense I'm guided, and I am informed as to the reality of my own death. It's coming. And it's okay. I think that before this, when I thought of my own accidental death doing my sports, when I really dig down into that fear, I think the fear was actually that by making a mistake and dying, that all of existence would cease to exist. And I feel reassured by being so close to Erik's death that my death is not the end of existence. Maybe I'm not the center of the universe.
Maybe I am.
Yeah, you are.
It is reassuring though. The experience is like a brand. I feel branded. A hot iron pressed against my flesh in an acute moment that scarred me and scabbed and is healing in a way that is something now that I think of as some kind of badge of honor, a rite of passage. It is certainly the most human experience I have ever experienced. And I feel more connected to life by being so close to Erik's death than I ever have. And I'm so grateful for that. And so I'll carry him with me for the rest of my life. The day Erik died is something that I can imagine as akin to my first child being born, or something profound, an existential, profound day. And I'm honored. I'm just honored in the weirdest, most beautiful way that I was able to be there with him and to see him out and to care for him and to bring him back. Fuck. Ski fast, take chances.